So welcome back ARK players to a brand new video, and we finally have some information on the man himself, Vin Diesel, on what is going on in the world of ARK. Because if you were an ARK player or in the ARK community back in December 2020 when the Game Awards was on, you would have been extremely excited to find out that ARK 2 was coming out in 2022 and Vin Diesel was going to be involved in this project. Fast forward to 2026 and there is still no definite release date for ARK 2. We have been told that it's meant to be coming in 2028, but that date always seems to move more and more when Studio Wildcard make plans. But anyway, we have an article here from PC Gamer on what's going on with Vin Diesel. We've seen a lot of Carl Urban recently with Bob's Tall Tales and Bob's True Tales, and personally, I am a massive Carl Urban fan. I love the series The Boys and some of his other films, and I really love him as an actor. And I'm really happy that we found out that he's interested in doing more with the ARK franchise. But of course, I want both Vin Diesel and Carl Urban. But anyway guys, we're going to get in with the news now. If you do enjoy today's video, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit. So, Vin Diesel's character in ARK 2 was originally written as a nerd. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. A bit of retconning took place. I thought I said reconnecting for a second. Took place when the Fast and Furious star joined ARK 2. Now, when this article came out, there was a lot of lore nerds in the world of ARK that were not happy, because if you don't know a lot about the lore of ARK, Wildcard have got a lot of it wrong, and it's actually come to the lore nerds of the game to point out to Studio Wildcard where they've gone wrong. I don't think they really knew where they were going completely with their story, and for those people that are lore nerds, it is quite upsetting when it's not followed correctly. You know that in many other games or movies, when someone doesn't follow the lore correctly, there's a lot of unhappy fans. And whereas I don't think in ARK the lore is that popular, it still has a place, and for those people that love it, they've not been happy with some changes. So ARK 2 starring Vin Diesel was first revealed by Studio Wildcard way back in 2020 and planned for a release in 2022. Long story short, ARK 2 is now coming in 2028, and I remember that someone made a joke to me saying that will probably come out in 2030. It was a comment section, and you guys are probably being right, even though you're probably joking back then. But I've had some questions on my mind for the past, 6 years or so about Vin Diesel's involvement in ARK 2, especially because Vin Diesel, I cannot shorten his name just to Diesel, sorry, I'm the same as that, was given the title of President of Creative Convergence for Studio Wildcard when ARK 2 was announced. So what the heck is President of Creative Convergence, and what did Vin Diesel actually do at Studio Wildcard? How did Vin Diesel react upon learning the game where he would ride shirtless as a dinosaur was gonna on a dinosaur was gonna be delayed for 6 damn years? Did Vin Diesel throw someone out a window? And this week I finally got to sit down with Studio Wildcard co-founders Jeremy and Jesse to ask them all my burning questions about Vin Diesel. So Diesel at the time especially played a very large amount of ARK, said Jeremy. In the Survival Evolved days, he played as much as any ARK Pro player would. Hundreds and hundreds of hours. Him and his kids, his partner, they were really good at the game. They played all the maps, and they knew all the bugs, and they knew all the exploits, and they had their own tribe. Now, funny enough, the story behind this was actually told years ago by some of the devs. I don't know the exact way they got in contact with him or how this partnership ever came around, but what I do know is Vin Diesel was one of the people that actually spotted out the Ferox issue, the Ferox bug, back when Genesis launched in 2020, I think it was it February 2020 when Genesis Part 1 came out? Yeah, and it was actually Vin Diesel that was one of the first people to actually point this out. We got told that, and we don't know what else or how they got into contact, but I guess that's something we'll never know. And after partnering with Vin Diesel for ARK 2, Jeremy said the movie star's role was working on how to best fit his character Santiago into the game's narrative. The character of Santiago existed before we started collaborating with Vin Diesel, but frankly, we kind of retconned the character. This is a word I don't use in my own vocabulary a little bit to fit his archetype. The character was originally written as like a nerd, and we're like, yeah, that ain't gonna work, Jeremy said, laughing. He's gonna be a really buff, awesome nerd who can punch out anybody. So we retconned the character a little bit, but it fit because the character was also originally written as a gearhead, and we're like, that tracked well enough, and so he helped us rewrite the character's backstory a little bit. I also asked if Vin Diesel had already recorded voice work for the character, wondering if Studio Wildcard had an entire performance from one of the world's biggest movie stars just sitting there on a hard drive somewhere, and they responded saying very little. I mean, a little bit, yes, Jeremy said. We've got a few lines for Genesis 2 and a few lines for the ARK 2 teasers, and a few lines also, spoiler, for the animated series we're working on. So it was a few lines here and there over various times, but nothing major yet. I finally asked what was really on my mind when they told Vin Diesel that ARK 2 was going to be delayed for years. Did he pick anyone up and throw them through a window? And that would have been an awesome experience, Jesse said, laughing before adding no comment. I think they're used to it in Hollywood, Jeremy said. I presume projects get delayed all the time, and you have projects sit on the shelves for decades sometimes. Not that ARK 2 would sit on the shelf for that long, but we did tell them, yeah, we want to make Survival Ascended first, and they were cool with it. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that Jeremy said that ARK 2 hasn't sat on the shelf for that long, it's been sitting on the shelf for years. What are you going on about? But yeah, no, I mean, fair enough. I mean, that is probably the case, right? There's probably many projects, many projects that kind of are really big ones, and they take serious amount of times on it, and then they decide they're working on a different one, and then it gets shelved. But it's the fact for me, as a massive Star Wars fan, I don't understand why they haven't made a Vader series yet. Like, those different things that are just going to be perfect, and one day they finally do come, but you end up aging up about 10 years, or leveling up about 10 years, I should say, before you actually get to experience this. So yeah, ARK 2 is coming in 2028, and right now, one of the most famous sayings whenever I do a video talking about ARK 2 is pretty much the same thing as I say. I'm going to put it to the back of my mind. It never truly goes completely to the back of my mind. I've always got some form of ARK 2 on my mind, because obviously it's gonna be big, it's gonna be exciting, it's something I've thought about for so many years. And of course, as I said, I first made my reaction to this when I was 21, and I told people ARK 2 was coming, and then when anyone asked me in life, when I haven't seen them for such a long time, hey, did ARK 2 launch? I'm like, nah, it's coming in 2028, and it just becomes a laughing stock. But anyway, there's a lot coming to Survival Ascended first. You know, we got Genesis Part 1, we got lots of interesting new content. We're still waiting on some of the most important DLCs. ARK 2 will end up eventually coming. I think Studio Wildcard have been a bit terrified by it, personally. I think that's my opinion. I think they've been very scared about actually launching it and it being a failure, because obviously, you know, they've even said it themselves. It's kind of company breaking if you move over to ARK 2 and it's not good. And it's not that, like, ARK 2 is going to take over from a Survival Ascended. Like, Survival Ascended is always going to be Survival Ascended. You know, it's not even ARK 1.5. It's still ARK 1 as a whole. And that will kind of always be its own living space in the gaming industry. But ARK 2 is going for a totally different, maybe Crimson Desert kind of vibe, but it's multiplayer, right? There's still going to be multiplayer servers. It's still going to work the same way and be a survival sandbox with more story and third person. And it's going to be a totally different type of game, and it might not be for anyone. It's still going to be ARK and have the same foundations that ARK always has, but if you prefer just playing your standard Survival Ascended, then ARK 2 might not be for you. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but it might be something you'd be interested in trying, and it might be just for a different genre. And I think that's what Studio Wildcard always kind of planned to do with ARK 2, was to push into a totally different genre. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.